I'm Haley Lawson, and I had the opportunity to complete my field experience hours at Gordon ISD. Gordon is a small rural town located 40 minutes from Stephenville in Palapina County. The town consists of 491 people, while the school consists of 203 students. The estimated household income is $36,673, and as for race and ethnicity, there's 1.5% African American, 19.7% Hispanic, 75.4% white, and 0.5% Pacific Islander. The stability of the community is great. The length of stay after moving in is significantly above state average. The majority of the population is Republican, while 81% of them voted for Trump. The types of housing range from single-parent homes, apartments, mobile homes, to very nice brick homes. Houses are well kept, while most of them are located on a significant amount of land. The average price of a home is $77,072. As for physical features, there are lots of trees that surround the right side of the building and then into the playground. This works out well because it shades the play area. Although they are not one-to-one with technology like most big districts, they do have a pretty good availability of it in their classroom. They have a smart board, a listening center, and 2 computers used for AR and Learning Farm. There is a lack of parental involvement in Ms. Ford's classroom. Ms. Ford voiced her concern for students not getting much parental support at home. She explained that she only requires them to do very little homework, and half the class will come back with it blank. In the first grade class that I observed in, Ms. Ford pulled students that did not know their letters yet and grouped them together, as well as students that needed help on sight words, leaving the ones that are reading well to be grouped together because she did not want to slow them down. My tutie's name is Becky, and she has a hard time staying on task. She comes from a 2-parent home, but her parents are not involved at all. Although she was very reserved at first, she did mention that she had numerous cats and that her favorite color was pink. In Ms. Ford's first grade reading classroom, there are 7 male students and 8 females. There are 4 average or advanced students, while the rest of the 11 students were remedial. In this classroom, they did stations every day, so I would say that there is the same amount of each learning modality used in the classroom. Usually they have a listening center for auditory, a flashcard center for visual, and a writing center for kinesthetic or tactile. In this classroom, there are 15 English proficient, while other than the fact that 2 students wear glasses, there were not any other exceptionalities present. As for ethnic distribution, there are 4 Hispanic students and 11 white students. My tutie is a 7-year-old female Caucasian. As for her achievement and developmental level, she is below average. Since she is so reserved, she works best in small groups with hands-on activities. This works out well because this is how Ms. Ford runs her classroom. My tutie does not leave the room at any point. She solely participates in interventions at the end of the day. Unfortunately, Becky's kindergarten teacher does not teach at Gordon anymore. Therefore, Ms. Ford was able to explain to me the extent of Becky's prior knowledge. She explained that the kindergarten teacher was too busy maintaining and caring for students that there was not much time for teaching. In fact, there were a couple of students that went to the bathroom on themselves almost every day. Since there was not much learning that went on in this kindergarten class, not only did my tutie come into first grade very low, but the majority of her peers did as well, with a few exceptions. My tutie is actually a non-reader. During our tutoring sessions, we mostly worked on finishing papers that Ms. Ford provided us with. They had to do with vocabulary and creating or arranging sentences correctly. The learning modality that works best for Becky is kinesthetic. Once I explained something to her, she actually had to do it herself before she was able to fully process it. Since there was not much to build upon from her previous school year, I focused on what she did best, such as word searches, and I used this towards our tutoring sessions in ways such as using them to help strengthen her vocabulary. Gordon is a very small town. This affected the classroom in terms of relationships. They all have very close-knit relationships, not only with their peers, but with their teacher as well. I noticed that they often talked about each other's family members on a personal level. In terms of instructional planning and assessment, low parental involvement plays a vital role. This impacts the amount of homework that Ms. Ford sends home. Since students are unable to get help at home, and most of the time they turn their homework in blank, she assigns hardly any of it. As a result of their kindergarten experience, the whole class came in very low. This impacts the way that Ms. Ford teaches, and is something she has to take into consideration when she plans her lesson. Oftentimes she has to reteach things that should have already been learned in kindergarten. This shows in the numerous flashcard games and worksheets over simple words that students should have already known in kindergarten. Ms. Ford does this to increase students' vocabulary and help to get them to the first grade level. As for instructional implications, Ms. Ford does lots of group work in her classroom based on the fact that it is such a close-knit community and students are going to speak to each other regardless. As for low parental involvement, she sends home very little homework with her students, and based on her students' kindergarten experience, she modifies her first grade lessons.